You ever come home after a long day at work looking forward to peace and quiet only to discover that your backyard's been turned into a full-blown pool party? Without your permission, yeah, that was me. I'm a 32-year-old black man living in a mostly white suburban neighborhood. When I bought my house 3 years ago, one of the biggest selling points was that it wasn't part of the HOA NOI board breathing down my neck, no one policing my fence height or what time I mow the lawn, just peace. Unfortunately, I live next to the president of the HOA. Her name, let's call her Karen, 50, some platinum blonde permanent scowl on her face like she smelled something bad. She walks around the neighborhood like she owns it, always barking orders, handing out citations like Halloween candy since day when she's had a problem with me, not openly, but in that fake nice condescending way that always had an edge to it. Comments like, "Your paint color is a bit unconventional, isn't it? You know, some neighbors think your yard is a little too wild. We try to keep a certain aesthetic in this community." Every time I reminded her that I'm not under HOA jurisdiction, she'd flash that fake smile and say something like, "Well, just trying to help. Some people don't know the rules." Lady, I know the rules, I just don't answer to you. Now, I don't go looking for drama. I work full-time in tech, and when I'm not working, I'm home relaxing, grilling, or swimming in my pool. But apparently that peace and independence rubbed Karen the wrong way. The day went down. It was a Thursday. I normally don't get home till around 6 p.m. Journey to story with correct punctuation and without heading. But that day I wrapped up work early and decided to surprise my wife by coming home with her favorite takeout. As I turned down my street, I noticed something strange. There were cars everywhere, not just in Karen's driveway, but spilling onto mine. Some were even parked on my grass. That was the first red flag. Second flag, there were balloons tied to my mailbox. Third, my side gate was wide open. And the fourth, I heard music, loud music blaring from behind my house. I pulled into my driveway, confused and already irritated. I stepped out and headed straight to the backyard, and what I saw had me frozen. At least 20 people were in my backyard, kids splashing in my pool, towels spread across my patio, chairs, a beer pong table set up next to the grill I just bought, and at the center of it all, Karen in my pool, wearing my wife's robe, holding my beer like she lived there. I was speechless. Then Karen waved like I was a guest. "Hey, you're home early." My jaw dropped. What the hell is going on here? Karen, calm as ever, said, "It's just a small HOA gathering, don't worry, we cleaned up after ourselves." I was fuming. This is my house, my backyard, my pool. "You're trespassing." She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Oh, come on, it's just one afternoon. You weren't using it. Besides, we figured it'd be fine. It's not like you're part of the HOA. Anyway, exactly." Journey to story with correct punctuation and without heading. "Because you have no say over me." I told her everyone needed to leave now. She smiled smugly and said, "You people always get so worked up over the smallest things, you people." I clenched my fists. I didn't yell, I didn't curse. I just walked past them, went inside, and opened the laundry room door. That's where my 2 Rottweilers, Shadow and Tank, chill when I'm gone. Big dogs, loyal, trained, sweet with kids, but to strangers they look like many bears. I opened the door and said, "Go ahead, boys, backyard." They padded outside, tails wagging, calm as ever. And that's when it happened. Chaos unleashed the moment they stepped into the backyard. Panic exploded. People screamed. Someone yelled, "He let dogs out." Karen jumped out of the pool like it was on fire. A guy tripped over a chair trying to reach the gate. Someone knocked over the beer pong table. A kid screamed that he was being chased. Shadow was literally sniffing a bag of chips. Karen was scrambling across the patio, dripping wet, still in my wife's robe, shouting, "Call 911, he's attacking us." All the while I stood by the back door with my arms crossed, watching the party disintegrate, leave my property. Now no one got bitten, no one was touched, but the sheer presence of 2 100-plus Rottweilers was enough to clear my backyard in 60 seconds. Karen, clutching her sandals and her pride, shouted, "You'll regret this." I replied, "Only thing I regret is not getting home sooner." The fallout that night, I checked my security cameras and downloaded all the footage. The next morning I woke up to 3 emails from the HOA. Apparently Karen had filed a formal complaint, intentional intimidation with dangerous animals, creating an unsafe environment for community members, racial hostility. Yep, she played the victim, said I had aggressively used large dogs to target white residents. But here's where things got real. Interesting, I'm not under the HOA, they have no authority over me, and I had footage clear as day showing her and her guests entering through my gate, swimming in my pool, drinking my beer, and reacting in panic when 2 journeyed a story with correct punctuation and without heading. Dogs stepped into their own yard, so I responded not just to the HOA board but also to a lawyer, because I'd had enough. Karen didn't stop there though. The plot thickens. A few days later, a strange man showed up taking pictures of my property. I asked what he was doing, and he claimed to be performing an HOA compliance inspection. I laughed. "I'm not in your HOA," he shrugged, and said, "You might be soon." Turns out Karen and her husband, a real estate attorney, filed a motion to incorporate my property into the HOA district boundaries. They were trying to force me into HOA control by claiming community benefit and shared neighborhood values. I was stunned. That's textbook overreach. Luckily, I had a lawyer who was already fired up from the trespassing case. He sent a cease and desist for harassment, trespassing, and fraud. We also prepared to press charges for theft because Karen and her guests had consumed food, alcohol, used utilities, and caused property damage. I itemized every cent, but before we even got to court, something else happened. I posted the footage of the entire backyard party on the neighborhood Facebook group, captioned it, "Karen's HOA party at my house," without permission, featuring my pool, my grill, my robe, and my dogs. The post went viral. People were shocked. Some said they had no idea it was my house. Karen told them she manages the property for the community. One family was furious because their kid got scared by the dogs, and they didn't even know they were trespassing. Karen, she went quiet. No apology, no accountability, just silence. The final blow, the neighborhood started whispering. Some HOA board members reached out to apologize on her behalf. Others admitted they were tired of her antics and wanted her removed from her position. Then came the icing on the cake. One of the guests at the party filed a personal complaint against Karen for deception, claiming they were misled into entering private property, which resulted in emotional distress. Karen wasn't just facing heat from me anymore. She was now under fire from the HOA she tried to weaponize. And last week I got a letter from the HOA. Karen has voluntarily stepped down from her role on the board, effective immediately. So, am I the jerk? Some people say I overreacted, that letting my dogs out was intimidating, that I should have just called the cops. But I didn't raise my voice, didn't threaten anyone, didn't break a single law. I let my trained dogs into their own backyard, and a group of trespassers who weren't supposed to be there ran for the hills. The way I see it, if you throw a party at someone else's house without permission, you don't get to cry victim when the actual owner comes home and lets his dogs out. You get what you get. Journey to story with correct punctuation and without heading.